Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Well, as you know, COVID has definitely changed our lives. And the fact is, it has not only changed how we go to work, how we go to restaurants, how we interact with one another, but this year is definitely going to change how we vote. But we want to make sure here in San Francisco that we make it as simple as possible. And I'm really excited to be here to announce that although we can't do what we've done in the past and provide early voting in City Hall, we are going to be doing early voting right outside on Grove Street in what looks like a beautiful party tent. And I want to thank the Department of Elections. John Arntz is here today, and he'll talk a little bit more about exactly the steps that his team has taken to ensure that we not only make voting accessible, we make it safe. We want to make sure that people feel comfortable. If they need to vote early, they can come to this voting center. It will be opening on Monday. If they want to vote on Election Day or drop off their ballots on Election Day, we're going to have 588 locations all over the city. And what's different this year is that every voter in San Francisco will be mailed their ballots. Now listen, don't be alarmed that if you don't receive your ballot that you won't be able to vote, because this Department of Elections has thought about everything. If you didn't receive it in the mail, there's the ability to provide replacement ballots. If you're concerned that you might be going out of town and you need a ballot mailed to you to a different location, there is a system in place to do just that. If, for whatever reason, you're not certain or uncomfortable with accessing a paper ballot, there's just a lot of options. They've been sending things in the mail, sending things online to voters to explain that our goal is to make this as easy as possible. Now, in the last presidential election, San Franciscans turned out in record numbers. It was over an 80% turnout. And in 2008, it was over 81%. So we know that this is a city that prides itself on making sure that our voices are heard. And we're not going to let COVID stop us from making sure that you have access to vote in San Francisco at your convenience. So I'm excited, and I know that there's a lot of confusion out there, but this Department of Elections has done everything it can to make sure that it's easy to call the Department of Elections, call 311, go online if you need information for where to pick up a ballot or a replacement ballot, if you made a mistake on your ballot. I mean, we thought of everything. So there is no excuse for anyone in the city who is a registered voter not to vote. And in addition to that, if you are not registered to vote and you would like to register to vote, you have until October 19th. So make sure that you take the opportunity to either go online, or this center is open Monday. You can come here, you can register to vote, and if you want, you can vote on the same day. In addition to the drop-up locations on Election Day and this voting center right across the street from City Hall, we will have a number of drop-off ballot locations the weekend before Election Day. Linda Brooks Burton Library in the Bayview, Chase Center, Portsmouth Square, and the Excelsior Branch Library. Because again, we're trying to make it as easy as possible. You can drop off your ballots in person or on Election Day. If you need more information, please visit the Department of Elections website at sfelections.org, call 311, or call 415-554-4375. So with that, I just want to again thank everyone for their cooperation, the work they do. I really want to express um, a special thank you to John Arts and the Department of Election staff, because they have been working just very hard to make sure that no question is unanswered. Anything that, or any scenario that could occur, they wanted to make sure that they were prepared to support and address the public. And they also worked with a number of great community organizations to get out the vote. And some of those organizations are with us today, including George Chan from the Chinese Newcomer Service Center, Jackie Flynn, the executive director of A. Philip Randolph. These are organizations who make sure that communities all over San Francisco have access to vote. And we appreciate the work that they've done for many, many years. I also want to thank Martha Cohen, who's the director of special events, for taking such time and care with creating a warm and inviting space. Thank you, Martha, for your work. And with that, I want to turn it over to our special guest that's joining us here today. You probably recognize him because he's probably the tallest person here. Our State Senator, Scott Wiener.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I also just want to thank Martha and also our Department of Elections and John Arts for once again really stepping up to make sure that San Franciscans can vote and vote easily. That is one of our core values in San Francisco, that we want people to vote and we want to make it easy for people to vote. So I have complete confidence in our Department of Elections that we will run a beautiful election here, and that we will, and it'll just be a really strong showing in a really difficult period of time. So this is a partnership between the state and our counties, including San Francisco. We took action at the state level to try to facilitate people being able to vote during a pandemic. We authorized complete global vote by mail in the state of California, so everyone gets a ballot, even if you are not signed up as a permanent absentee. We want to not put barriers that people have to get past in order to get an absentee ballot. We also extended the time by which a ballot has to arrive. Normally, it has to be postmarked by Election Day, and I do want to ask people, please try not to rely on postmarking on Election Day, because sometimes you can mail it after whatever the pickup is at that particular box, and there are unfortunately thousands of ballots each time where people just mail it too late in the day. It doesn't get postmarked. So make sure if you're going to mail it, please try to mail it by the day before. But normally it has to arrive by Friday. We've extended that by 2 weeks. So it's now 17 days after election. So even if there is a problem with the post office, which I don't think there will be, you have plenty of time if you mail it, even right up to Election Day. It has 17 days to arrive instead of 3, and that is a huge change in state law that we've made to just make sure that every ballot can be counted. But what this is really about is options. We are in a hopefully once in a century global pandemic, and we want to make sure, and everyone has different concerns, everyone has different health statuses, or people in their homes with different health statuses, and we want people to be able to make choices that work for them in terms of how to vote. That's why we're sending everyone a ballot in the mail, and they can simply fill it out and put it in the mail and be done with it. Or if people don't want to do that, they'll be able to drop it off in different locations. And of course, we have this absolutely amazing voting facility here, which will respond to our health needs in terms of allowing people to show up and vote safely, and to be able to do it efficiently. The capacity here, as you can see, is huge. It's going to start on Monday, and it'll also be open the 2 weekends before the election. So we are just making it so easy for people to be able to vote in a way that works for them and for their family and for their own health situation. I want to just close. I had a digital town hall, I think last week, with our Secretary of State, Alex Padilla, with Common Cause, and also with a representative of the American Postal Workers Union. And she was very, very clear that she has confidence that the mail is going to work well for this election. That despite some of the turbulence we were seeing, that they've been able to move through that, and she assured us that our postal workers, who are some of our frontline essential workers who are putting themselves out there every day during this pandemic so that we can do what we need to do as a society, that they are going to work incredibly hard and that they will deliver the mail and people can have confidence in the mail. So again, thank you, Madam Mayor, thank you to our Department of Elections, and let's just run a great election as always. Thank you. And now I want to invite up our Director of Elections, John Arntz.
All right, thank you, Senator Wiener. Thank you, Mayor Breed, and also thank you for organizing this event today. This is actually a great timing for an event like this, just before early voting begins. So early voting will begin October 5th here at the voting center located outside Bill Graham Auditorium. This is an example, as both the Mayor and Senator Wiener have indicated, how the department and the city have taken steps to make sure that voting is safe and a healthy experience for all voters in San Francisco. The ballots will be mailed actually tomorrow, and voters will start receiving ballots potentially on Saturday, and then most voters will receive ballots starting on Monday going through the election week. We have a full complement of polling places this election, so we have 588 polling places, and the polling places also serve as ballot drop-off locations. So if people want to drop off, they don't want to mail their ballot back, or they forgot to mail their ballot back just before Election Day, they can go to their polling place or any polling place in the city and drop off those ballots. The ballot drop-off locations at the polling places are actually outside the voting area, so voters don't have to go inside the voting area, decrease the amount of traffic that voters would experience on Election Day at the polling places. And everything that we've done since really the end of the March election, going through this cycle for November, has been to plan in relation to conducting an election while trying to respond to a pandemic. So everything that's happening here at Bill Graham Auditorium is organized so that people can maintain social distancing, that there's PPEs that our personnel are wearing and using, that the public is provided PPEs, face masks, hand sanitizer, sanitizing wipes, face shields, things like that. And the same for the polling places. So the way that we've organized the polling places is that the voters and the poll workers can maintain social distancing as the voters go through the elections process on Election Day. We'll also have PPEs available for the voters and for the poll workers on Election Day. And then both the in-person voting here at the Bill Graham Auditorium and also at the polling places, there'll be a cleansing of the areas and materials and the commonly used items throughout the day. So voters will be going into a clean voting environment when they go to cast their ballot on Election Day. Then also I want to echo Senator Wiener's comments about the post office. We've had many conversations and meetings with the post office before this election. We provided samples of the vote-by-mail ballots so they could run the ballot packets through their equipment to make sure that there was no issues with the processing. And I am fully confident in the post office's ability to support the conduct of this election for November. The post office, as Senator Wiener noted, has put tremendous attention and focus on their abilities and their requirements to get ballots out to voters and get ballots from voters to departments of elections, including here in San Francisco. So again, I just want to assure voters that the city, the Department of Elections have put much time, much thought into making sure that voters have many options to cast their ballot for this election, and that those options are safe and secure, and everyone has a good experience on Election Day. So now I'll turn it over to George Chan.
Morning, everyone. My name is George Chan from Chinese Newcomer Service Center. We are a local nonprofit located in San Francisco, Chinatown. Even we call Chinese newcomers, we're actually helping everyone. So this year we are very happy to receive support from the city to continue the registered people. This year we see the ballot will be mailed to you, and we try to help people to register. And we found out that many clients, they don't know if you change your address, make sure you update it. Okay, so and also if you don't know your voter status, we can help you to check it as well. So thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jacqueline Flynn. I'm the Executive Director of the A. Philip Randolph Institute San Francisco, and we're one of the many community partners working directly with the Department of Elections in the city to really get out the vote this year. So I ask you, how important is your vote? 2020 has been one of the most challenging years we've experienced as a nation. We've lost over 200,000 American lives due to COVID-19. And these fires, as you can see, continue to rage and scorch our state, destroying thousands of homes and businesses with devastating effects on our farm industry, the California economy, and most importantly, our air quality. Our nation has seemed to leap back in time with racial tensions so high they've spilled into our streets. So I ask again, how important is your vote? This year, your vote will be one of the most important decisions you make. So get educated, make a plan, and vote. Your vote is not only to select our country's highest offices, but you can help redefine our bail system. You can help reform our law enforcement system. You can help fund our parks. You can vote for housing and health care. Your vote is a vote for change. I ask you, what can you do to affect change? You can ensure your vote is heard by casting your ballot. If you can, do it early. Send it in by mail. If you can, drop it directly into a ballot box. And again, thank you to the city for creating an accessible space for folks to do that safely. And if you must safely head to your poll, please wear your mask, but please vote. I encourage all of us to ask our family, our friends, our work colleagues, our neighbors to do something important. Vote. This year has been hard on all of us. And as I think about why it's so important, I think about my own kids. And I realize that I have the power to set a clear example that I'm not satisfied where we're at in this nation today, and that I'm not going to sit back. I will be an element of change. The A. Philip Randolph Institute will be on the front line, reaching out to our seniors and over 5,000 units of low-income family housing across this city. We'll be facing the fears of COVID, safely hitting the streets to ensure education and access to voting. You can help us in that fight. I'm inspired by San Francisco, a city that votes for change. I'm inspired by a mayor that looks like me. I'm inspired because I know when I vote, I'm celebrating my skin, my lips, and my determination to be represented by someone that understands my perspective. So to all my Asian brothers and sisters, and to all my Latino brothers and sisters, we need you. We need bilingual folks at our polls. And to all my Caucasian allies, we are all in this together. So I challenge everyone to get educated, make a plan, and vote. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jackie. And again, thank you to all our special guests here. Thank you to the press and the media for getting the word out. Most importantly, we want to make sure that voting is easy. And we want to be the resource that you need if you have any questions, you have any concerns. You know, what's interesting, this past weekend, I heard from a lot of folks that said, I didn't get my ballot yet. What's going on? What's happening? And so people seem to be very excited about voting. But we also want to make sure that folks are able to get their ballots, that they're able to get their questions answered, that we make it as simple, as easy as possible. But in light of COVID, that we also keep everybody safe. So when we're showing up to our polling places or our drop-off centers or this particular center here across the street from City Hall, that we're all using the wash centers to wash our hands, we're wearing our mask, we're complying with our health orders, because that's how we're going to be able to continue to not only get through this, but adapt to the need to make sure that we are able to not only vote, but vote safely. That's what this is all about. So thank you all so much for joining us here today.